Esto qué mierda es. Pero no puede salir así a la calle, chicos. Esto no puede salir así a la calle. ¿Qué es eso? Renfe.
Hola, Lian, ¿cómo andamos? ¿Todo bien? Bueno, espero que sí. Acá me estoy diciendo algo. Abo, dijo Tiago. Ok y Abo. Genial. Ni me di puta cuenta de que enviaste un hola. Después ya tengo el WhatsApp en negro. Ya que me gusta. Y no sé por qué. Así que está. Así que voy a ir a YouTube. Como está la preview. Genial. Parece que no lo sé, no es YouTube. Por 3. Hola, Tiago, ¿cómo andás? ¿Todo bien? Bueno. Si quieren jugar el juego de... o quieren reaccionar a un video, que yo tengo uno. Ay, la puta madre. Amigo, alcancé los 81 suscriptores, miren. Miren, acá están los 81. Que estaba hablando con unos brasileños ahí. Sí, tuve derecho a votar con un juego de mierda. No, con mierda, está bueno. Así que, bueno. La pita madre be like. La pita. La pita. ¿Qué onda, weón? Closet area. Eh, Closet area, ¿qué pasa? Sí, este lo que es un turco. Tengo este. Estaba mirando un poco. Tiago, miramos este video que trata del Closet Area, que investiga todo el juego. Dura como 45 minutos, puro cine. ¿Qué te parece? Dale. La pita madre. Pita. A Mateo cuando una vez dije... Cuando dije pita, se cagó de risa. La verdad se recagó. Y nosotros lo también nos estamos cagando de risa ahí. Pero la puta madre. ¿Qué pasó? Diego, ¿estás ahí? Yo qué sé si está ahí. La puta madre. ¿Qué? Tengo dos gatos y mira que pelea. No, negro, no sea... No sé, culo. Sí, pelea. Ahora que le voy a enviar mensaje a tío. Tiago. ¿Qué hizo? ¿A qué te refieres? Ok. ¿Y cómo estás en línea y a la vez en YouTube? Boludo, no entiendo. Boludo, ¿cómo estás? Esperá que ponga a usar la pantalla. Ahí está. Ay, diale, Tiago, me envió un audio.
Decime vos.
No entiendo. XD. Tío, ¿a qué mierda te estás haciendo referencia? Amigo, yo dos tíos conocí, uno de mi escuela que era y uno de que supo, el de Pando. Bueno, coño, miramos este video. Closet Area. Cuyo. No entiendo. Oh. Dale, miramos este video. A todos los que digo, no sé, son dos creo. ¿O por qué se tan pendejo que hubiera 1000 personas? Un choque. Me voy a poner auriculares, coño. No sé, mierda. Ah, ahora. Sí, igual no estaba reproduciendo nada. Culo. Prueba. ¿Qué choque? No, pensé que había un choque acá, que estaba acá. No sé. La puta madre, puse un video. No sé dónde está ese video ahora. Como él lo estuve mirando hace pila ese video. El de que tiene. En que dice Closet Area, el de abajo. Como que chocaste. Pero mijo. Hostia, tío. Vamos a aprovechar que estamos. Eh, que estamos lloviendo. Que está lloviendo, ¿no? Hay lluvia electrónica. Electrónica, no sé. No, ¿para qué tengo que ir acá? Estoy colocando la comida. La puta madre, me quemé. No se sintió nada igual. Se me cayó. Por pendejo. ¿A ver qué decía? Choque son y rayado. Literal. Igual cada tanto pasa como muertes acá, weón. O sea, cada tanto pasa siniestros, todo eso. Cada tanto pasa eso. O sea, cada tanto pasa. Choques, literal, atascos, todo. Ahora voy a poner el video. Es uno que habla inglés. Pero lo voy a traducir, voy a poner los subtítulos. Putítulos. Así que, ¿qué les parece? Miramos. ¿Para qué me voy a poner el mayonesa? Eso sé que estoy haciendo directa. Soy tan tontico. Pero esta mierda de tuco. Voy a sacar en medio, me voy a romper el coso. A ver qué dice. Fernand Flo. Trae un video de. Sí, yo no sé cuál era ese video. No sé cuál era ese video, no me acuerdo. Pero igual creo que lo está diciendo de joda. Joda. Así que bueno, perdón por la demora, coño. Coño. Iván Duro decía mucho coño en una época. La época dura de YouTube. Así que... Coño madre. Concha de la lora. Por Dios. Bueno, ahora sí. Vamos a mirar el video.
What's up, everybody? Before we begin, I would like to
Vamos a poner el subtítulo y voy a traducirlo. Que tengo método. La concha de tu madre. Me acabo de... Alemán, no soy en alemán, boludo. Si fuera alemán no me levantaría la mano.
state that this video contains major spoilers for the full game of Closed Area. So if you would like to get the game for yourself without knowing what's going to happen, which I recommend, please click off of this video. And if you're still here, please enjoy the video. In the world of mobile games, there is a lot of garbage. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great mobile games, and I do play a lot of great ones on my phone and tablet. But for many mobile games, they're just bad. Oftentimes, it's just garbage for children, or a game that is just completely fake and looks nothing like the pictures. I find this a lot with farming games and trucking games, but there are also some diamonds in the rough. Today, I'm going to be talking about Closed Area, a game I love, and a game I don't think anyone on YouTube has talked about, at least not in a review format, or not in an analysis format. Sit back and relax as I talk about one of my all-time favorite mobile games, and quite possibly the greatest mobile driving horror game of all times. Closed Area has two versions, Closed Area Lite and Closed Area, aka the full game. Closed Area was developed by Alexander Chervanov. Closed Area Lite was released on November 3rd, 2015, on the Play Store at least. It included the first level of the three that would be in the full game. Closed Area, the full game, was released on October 31st, 2017, on the Play Store at least. Because if you're gonna release a horror game, why not do it on Halloween? It's perfect timing. The light version of the game is free, and the full version does cost some money. I got the game a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly how much money it was, but if you ask me, it is definitely worth it. So I actually
Wow, qué accidente.
checked during the making of this video, and it's actually only 99 cents, which is a great deal for how good the game is. I can't do this with a sweater on. This sucks. It's so hot in here. Like I said, the light version is just the first level of the full game. So I'm just going to be going through the full game here. I got these games a long time ago, and I still remember how it happened. I really liked the game Beware. Yeah, that old...
A la mierda, ¿cómo ni hace usted eso? ¿Cómo mierda hace usted eso, mano? ¿Para qué mierda iba a agarrar? Sal. Y voy a tener que volverme puta vez. A ver.
Driving horror game. I watched a lot of people play it on YouTube. I did way more mobile gaming at the time, so I thought, I wonder if there's any cool games like this on the Play Store. Next thing you know, I came across Closed Area Lite. I downloaded it, loved it, and a while later, bought the full version. I love this game, and still come back to it every once in a while. I've completed it probably around 3 to 5 times, and played through the first 2 levels probably 10 plus times. Okay, this is after I've wrote the whole script, and recorded all the gameplay. After recording all that gameplay, those numbers have probably shot up so high that I know this game like front to back now, like back of my hand. Yes, it's a different day now, don't worry about it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. When we first boot up the game, we are greeted with these menus, which I really enjoy. I really love the images and the vibe they give off. The first image we see after the Made with Unity logo is a cloudy, desolate gravel road. There's a thunderstorm off in the distance. The road is in the middle of nowhere. On the main menu, there are 4 options. At the top, you can select the language, either English or Russian. Next, you can start the game. Below that is the settings, and finally below that is exit. Also, if you already have a game going in between language and new game, you can choose continue. Before we go further into the game, let's look at settings. In the settings, there's not much. The only option is whether you want to have tilt steering or button steering. I personally use button steering. Once you're in the game, you can also
Ah, no, es 11 de febrero, ni me interesa
pull
saber
up settings and choose steering. And also see your FPS, which is nice. I love it when games show the FPS. The picture for the settings menu is an old room of a power plant with a mostly gray color palette. Okay, now time to get into the real game. I first want to point out I absolutely love the loading screens in this game. I do. They are great. Simply for their pictures. The 3 images are black and white, and I will get to the other 2 later, but here is the first one. It's a power station in somewhere I can only guess is Eastern Europe in Russia. The area looks a little desolate, with tall grass. The trees are either dead, or it's late fall or early spring, from what I can tell. And it looks like it's somewhere in the plains of Russia. This is the first of 3 amazing images. We open in a concrete tunnel, in a Gaz 3110, aka a Volga, as the description of the game says. There's a barricade behind us keeping us from leaving, which to me basically acts as a big text box that basically says you're fucked, so I guess we're in for it. The way starting the car works in this game, yes, you have to start the car. Anyway, what you have to do is wait for the little needle on the gauge on the side to get to the gray zone and then press the start button. Simple. I am definitely not highlighting this for a part of the game later. After these initial moments, we exit the tunnel. Might I add, I love the ambience here.
Gonorrhea. Tiago, ¿es ese el juego del carro de terror que vos decís? Este juego, Tiago, este juego el que vos decís, ¿no? Closet Area. Sí, Leon, es un juegazo, pero lo recomiendo. Sigamos.
Every time I hear it, it makes me think of Duel, the 71 Steven Spielberg movie. It just sounds a lot like the Semi. So we pull up to another gate. There's a vehicle here but no sign of any people. After the gate opens and we drive through, we hear a helicopter and then we see it pass over us. I will get to what I think this is in a bit. That's right, I am even going to talk about what I think the story of the game is. Anyway, so we drive up a bit and go around this huge crater which is here for some reason. The road goes around it and there are barriers. Don't hit them at full speed because you will eat shit. As we drive along, you'll notice how desolate and barren the area is. I assume we're on some secret Soviet military base in the Siberian plains during the 80s or very early 90s. The only sound is the sound of the engine in the car. The sky is overcast. We can't see the sun. We continue to drive along this gravel road. There are fences on both sides of us, keeping us from getting too far off the gravel.
Sí, hay sustos en ese juego, Leon. Sí, es un paisaje bonito.
road. There's one section with a break in the fence, however, which we can drive through. In here, we will find a crashed fighter jet. It's a cool little sight, and it's easy to miss. If you continue, you get brought right back out to the main road. By this point, I'm thinking, I really love the atmosphere in this game. It's very cool, it's very eerie, and it's very liminal. In horror, the two things I love and that creep me out the most are liminality and isolation. So the game is doing great so far. Anyway, we keep driving, go down the
Sí, hay monstruos. Hay monstruos.
hill, go around a bend, drive up another hill, and holy shit, this truck, which is a Kamaz by the way, absolutely scared the shit out of me the first time I saw it. Yeah, it definitely killed me. I'm willing to bet that everyone who played this for the first time absolutely ate shit from that truck the first time they drove over that hill. We can follow this truck, which I will talk about in the section where I explain what I think the story of the game is. Also, this thing honks at you. And it's a weird high pitch horn, so if you have your volume all the way up, this encounter is extra scary.
Cuando sienta algo, me morí.
I think this is a pretty good jump scare because the game tries to get you to not really think about it. Because this whole time so far, we've just been driving down this gravel road, and there are hills we drive over just like this earlier in the game, and nothing happened. The game has given you no reason to think that there is anything on the other side of this hill but more of the same. But no. Against all odds, if you drive up the center of this hill and the timing is right, you will be greeted with a pretty good jump scare. After this, an extremely eerie ambience kicks in as we drive along.
Esa canción la conozco. Toda.
We go under a bridge and come to, would you look at that, a paved road.
Cuando sienta algo. No, returbio ese sonido. Pero relajante. El juego tiene un estilo tipo Stalker. Stalker es un videojuego de Chernobyl. O sea, basado en Chernobyl. Tipo, es de ambientación, terror, con armas. No sé, digamos así.
To the right is a building of some sort with a wall around it. We turn left and continue up the road. There are telephone poles here, so be careful. If you hit them, you will eat shit.
A mí eso no fue nada.
We continue up the hill and enter a tunnel. We turn and the level ends. So that is the end of level 1. This is as far as you can get in the light version. So far, I think this game is phenomenal for a mobile driving horror game. I mean, I don't think there's much competition, but anyway. So let's continue and see if the next 2 levels can live up to or surpass level 1. We start level 2, which has my favorite loading screen so far. Hell, I liked it so much I put it in the thumbnail for this very video. It's on par with the first image and looks like it's from a similar region to the first one as well. The picture is of a factory off in the distance and just looks really liminal and eerie. It looks like the picture was taken from a road a little ways away from the factory. So all in all, I love this image. And I think at the end, I'm going to put all the loading screen images up just so you can see them all together.
Como que revolución.
Because I know I've said this a lot, but they are just amazing. And they fit the game really well. So after the game loads, we start exactly from where we left off in level 1. We go around another corner and exit the tunnel. We can immediately notice it's darker than the last level. It's still overcast, but the sky is way darker. It's getting later in the day. While we're driving down the road, we can see a road sign. Don't hit it, you will eat shit. Again. As we're driving, we can find a side road.
Mira puta. Ese juego, mi gente, como dije, es de Stalker, ambientación todísimo.
This is the first time in the game we can see branching paths we can drive down. If we turn down this side road, we will come to a gate, and beyond this is a small military base inside this much larger closed area.
Escuchen el ambiente, boludo.
At this base is a helicopter, 2 more helicopters, and 1 huge helicopter.
Si se ponen auriculares, se pone bueno.
I mean it, this thing is fucking massive. The helicopters have a red star on them, which pretty much confirms that we are in the Soviet Union, and that we are in a Soviet military base. There is also an APC in this shed, I think. I'm not an expert on military vehicles, but I'm like 99% sure this is an APC. There's also one of those spinny things they have at airports, so that's cool. I think it's a radar thing. There is still no sign of any people having been here for a bit. I also realized while writing this that this is probably where the helicopter we saw at the beginning took off from. Anyway, there's also some tanks scattered around. I'm going to say this now so I don't have to repeat it throughout this level. There are a bunch of abandoned tanks littered around this level. Some look broken down and others just look discarded and left to rot. There's a dirt road we can use to get back to the main road. If you take this route back to the main road, you won't miss anything between the dirt road and the first turn off. I do like how level 2 so far has a different area you can explore if you want to. Level 1 had a much more linear path, which is good for what level 1 is, an introduction to the game. In level 2, you don't have to explore that small military base. In fact, it's easy to miss if you just follow the main paved road. So next, we keep following the main road. We see another side road we can go down, but if we keep driving down the main road, we will come to a roadblock. There are concrete barriers with some tanks, so let's turn around and go back to that side road. This road is notably longer than the last side road. There are some trees on the side. As we continue on, we come to a bend with some buildings and some train tracks in and around it. There's also a concrete wall around the buildings. You can drive around here, which is cool. Allows you to do some more exploring. When you're done exploring, or if you just blew right past it, we come to a little section which I quite enjoy. So this stretch of road is long and straight. We do see some train cars on the track, but no train. And as we continue down this section, we start running into all kinds of shit for some reason. I don't know what the fuck this stuff is. Are these bugs? Is it dirt or dust? It does sound quite windy as we drive through it. I really have no idea. When I first played this section, I found it a little intense, which is good for a horror game. I like this because whatever this stuff is, and the wind, starts out subtle and slowly picks up and gets more intense as the scene goes on.
Ese sonido es putamente jodido, me da miedo.
We see some building outlines off in the distance, and they fade in as we get closer. In no time, a huge factory complex is standing before us. Also, side note, I think this factory is modeled after the one from the loading screen. I mean, they look the exact same. It's like if you drive around in this one, you start to realize that that is what it would be like to drive around in the one in the loading screen, if that makes sense. There's a concrete wall all the way around the factory. We drive through an open gate to get into the factory, and there's only one other way out, a gate up at the front. We entered through the side. The gate at the front is closed, and since we have the unfortunate ability of being unable to get out of our car, it looks like we're in a bit of a pickle. Also, I noticed this while I was doing...
Mi gente, miren. Miren la puerta.
The final recording of the gameplay for when I had to get footage of the closed gate. The gate actually starts out open, and you can see it start to close, and you can see it closing. If when you enter the factory, you drive straight up to the front. There are no people around, so how the fuck did this gate close on its own? Once again, we can
Amigo, eso no, ni no sabía de que se cerraba sola la puerta, loco.
explore here, or just get through it as fast as you can. There are a bunch of buildings.
Hay un camión acá. Eso no, ni putamente lo sabía.
Still no signs of life anywhere. But there is an old ZIL 130, which is cool considering I like old Soviet trucks. The building directly in front of us when we drove in is actually open when you go inside it. It looks like a typical factory building. but we can drive down this ramp that takes us into the basement. And I just want to say, I love that the darkness is literally just a black wall you drive through. Immediately after driving through the wall of darkness, we turn our lights on and enter the basement. If we turn left at the bottom of the ramp, we go into a room with a ton of pillars, pipes, and power boxes. There's nothing to do here, so if we go back to the main room and go to what would have been the right when we first got down here, we see an open door. We drive over to it and ignore the huge hole in the corner of the room, and we drive through the door. We can drive for a few meters before we come to an abrupt stop. There are 2 doors in front of us. One open, one closed. Our lights go off, and the dashboard lights dim. A light source comes from behind us, most easily seen through the rear view mirror. After sitting here for what feels like 10 plus seconds, we hear the sound of huge metal grinding. I think it's the door closing behind us. Oh shit, boys, how are we gonna make it out of this one? We hear the sounds of multiple groups of footsteps getting louder and louder. They get closer to our car, then they stop, what sounds like right behind us. Then we hear the sound of banging on our car, and the dim light from behind us starts flashing. Remember that simple starting function I said I was not highlighting for a later section? Well, I mean, it's still simple, but they made it a hell of a lot fucking harder.
No sé, Tiago, como quiera, cuando te guste más.
So everything still works the same, except for the needle on the gauge. So this thing now bounces around so fast, but you still have to hit it when it lands on the green. It's ridiculous. You have at most 2 attempts to hit the button before you die. And if you wait too long to hit the button, you will still die. To be honest, this part can be really annoying, and if you don't have your hand-eye coordination skill maxed out IRL, you're gonna have a rough time. If you do fail, you will see the shadow of a weird-ass hand reach into your car, and you also hear your wimpy ass
¿Para qué le hago zoom?
scream.
Mira el tablero.
Also, each time you do hit the start button at the wrong time, you will see these weird shadow figures on the wall. These things actually look pretty creepy considering they're just shadows and you only see them for a couple seconds before your car lights go off again. If you fail this section, the game will actually respawn you all the way back onto the road we first turned onto to bring us to the factory in the first place. From there, you just keep trying till you can pass the challenge. Now, I do have a massive problem with this section that I will talk about later, because I want to compare it with another section that handles my issue with this section way better. When or if you do finish this honestly annoying as fuck section that is not that annoying, if you pass it your first try, you can exit through the door in front of you on the right. We go through the door, drive up the ramp, back out of the basement, thank God. Just like when we drove down here, we drive through a wall of darkness, literally. We are now in another one of the buildings in the factory complex. In here, there are some lathes, which I thought was pretty cool considering they're quite detailed for the environment that they're in. The door to this building was not open when we entered the factory, but it is now, somehow. We leave the building, and if we now drive to the front gate, it is now open, somehow. The road out of the factory has some more trees and more tanks along it, some in worse condition than others. It almost looks like the crews just abandoned these tanks mid-use out of nowhere. We pass through a fence and we're back to the main road. To the left is the roadblock we saw from the other side. If we turn right, we're back on the main road, but there is another gravel road directly in front of us. This road has some more trees and it leads to a long concrete wall with closed metal doors. Now you're probably thinking one of 2 things at the sight of this. This was a huge fucking waste of time, or that's cool. So back to the main road we go. Continuing on the main road, if we drive a bit, we see a couple trees. As we drive, more trees fade into view. Maybe level 3 is going to take place in a forest. Foreshadowing anyone? We drive past the fence that's kept us in levels 1 and 2 this whole time, and the level ends. So that was level 2. And I think it was pretty damn good. We got to do way more exploring than in level 1, and level 2 was way larger. Level 2 is the largest level in the game, and it's pretty damn good, and it does live up to the standards of level 1. As we're going to see in a bit, level 3 has a bit of a different vibe than level 1 and 2 did, but don't worry, it's still creepy. But first, before we get into all of that, I would like to discuss what I think the story of the game is. It may be completely wrong, but it's what I got from the game. And the only reason I'm discussing this now before finishing the game is so later on I can make one kind of funny comment that will make sense if I do this section first. So let's start with time and place. The Gaz 3110 we're driving is a pretty big clue. I actually found out when I googled the years of the Gaz 3110 that it was only manufactured from 1996 to 2004, which kind of bummed me out because I thought for sure this game took place during the Soviet Union era. But then again, I got this information from Wikipedia because that was the first site that came up, so take it with a grain of salt. So this information could be total bullshit, but I'll roll with it. So the earliest this game could take place is 1996, so I'm going to go with 1996 because I think the closer to the Soviet Union era, the better, and I can't imagine this game set in the 2000s. Next, it's kind of obvious the game takes place in Russia, but I don't know exactly where in Russia. There are 2 regions in Russia I think the game could...
Espera, que voy a agarrar una cosa. Ya va. ¿Qué dice? Estoy en el cante de Uruguay.
take place in, and I can't decide which one to choose. I think the game either takes place in the Russian plains or the West Siberian plains. So I'll say the time is 1996, and the place is one of those 2 locations.
Hey, ¿qué carajo? ¿Qué carajo?
So let's go further. The closed area we're driving around on is a Russian military base. So who are we? I don't think we're just
What the fuck?
some random civilian. The reason is that the gate at the very beginning of the game opened for us, and I, for one, believe, unlike the gate at the factory, the first gate was opened for us by an actual person. And what guard at a military base would just let some random in? And if I'm wrong and some random civilian was just let into this closed area by some guard, then that guard should be fired, because bro is not doing his job. Anyway, back to the story. So far, I believe we are a Russian official in the mid to late 90s on a military base in the Russian/West Siberian plains. Side note, there was probably another guard at the gate behind us when we started the game that also let us in. If we are a civilian, which I doubt, that guy should also be fired. So why are we here? I think the government official that we play as was called in to investigate some weird sort of stuff that's been going on here recently. Remember how I mentioned a lack of people as I discussed levels 1 and 2? I think this base has been evacuated due to the weird stuff that's going on, and I think the majority of people have already left. The few people left are, I think, the guard at the...
Voy a desconectar el auricular. A ver. Oh, ¿se escucha? ¿Se escucha? Yo creo que sí.
Behind us when we start the game, and the guard at the first gate we go to. Also, that helicopter. Remember that one at the very start of the game? We hear a helicopter, and then we see it pass over us.
Dale.
I will get to what I think this is in a bit.
Okay.
That's right, I am even going to talk about what I think the story of the game is. I think this was some of the last troops being evacuated from the base. Specifically, the second last people to leave after the people at the gates. Let's hope the people in the helicopter
Ah, qué caría.
alright. Because there was actually another group of people that did not make it out alright.
No sé cómo es traduzco esto. Porque, hombre, no sé cómo voy a traducir esto. No sé cómo voy a... Espera. La puta madre.
Mentioned you can follow this truck. Well, if you do decide to follow this truck, which by the way I think is cool, because the game doesn't tell you to follow the truck. The first time you get by this truck, you will probably just drive past it. You are the one who decides to follow the
like
truck,
al
which
directo.
is cool. Well, unless you're gonna play the game after basically hearing me tell you to follow the truck. But I did warn you, spoilers at the beginning. As I was saying, if you follow this truck, it goes back the way you came, around a couple turns. The truck is just as fast as your little Gaz 3110, so avoid going on the grass. I think I forgot to mention this earlier, but the car actually drives faster on the road and slower on the grass, which is a nice detail for a mobile game. Also, the car physics in this game are pretty good, and I like them a lot. While the truck is about to go around one corner, it unexpectedly keeps driving forward. It goes off the road and hits a tree. Let me just say this is not a mistake. It's not because you weren't supposed to follow the truck and it just stopped following the road. This was meant to happen. What's my proof? Well, the truck has a destroyed model. That's right, if you drive up to the truck and look at the front, it's wrecked. The windshield is cracked and the cab is launched forward about a foot. I love this detail in the game. It's pretty cool and it's on you to find it yourself. I'm going to come back to this later when something happens to us, but for now let's recap the story I've come up with so far. It's 1996. We are a Russian government official, and we've been sent to a military closed area on the plains of Russia to investigate some weird stuff that's been going on lately. The closed area has been evacuated, and by the time we show up, the only people still on their way out is a helicopter and a truck. But unfortunately, the people in the truck don't make it. This whole game, we travel deeper into this closed area. We need to find out what's happening here. Whatever it is, it's so bad it got the entire military base evacuated. As we get further into the game, it feels like we're traveling deeper and deeper into the center of this base, and it feels like we're not going to leave. I could be completely wrong on all of this, and none of it could be developer intended, but this is the theory I got from playing the game. And theorizing about a video game is fun. It was fun coming up with this theory and putting a story to the game, and I think my story goes with the game pretty well. So let's get on to the final level, Level 3. As per the norm, I am first going to discuss the awesome loading screen. I loved the Level 1 loading screen. I loved the Level 2 loading screen. So does the Level 3 loading screen live up to the first two? I'm happy to report, yes it does. Just like how the first two loading screens fit the vibes of their levels, the Level 3 loading screen fits the vibes of Level 3 very well. The Level 3 loading screen is black and white, just like the others, and features a road through a misty forest. To the right, a downhill slope. To the left, a steep uphill. A paved road goes through the center of the shot. The road is shiny, as a result of the rain that probably just passed. The road bends to the left and goes around the hill at the top of the shot. I absolutely love this image because it has a damp, misty feel to it in this cool forest. And it also looks like something straight out of Beware, which, if you'll remember, is the game that basically led to me finding this game in the first place. Also, fun fact about this image, I Google image searched all three of these loading screen images, and this was the only one where I actually found the exact image. I also found some...
¿Qué? Para. No, boludo, voy a romper el auricular. Lo fue al gato.
Show more of the picture. So that's interesting. Also, through Google image searching this image, I went down a rabbit hole, and by rabbit hole I basically mean I just did a lot of digging and found out that the original image is called Into the Mist and may have been taken by a man named Greg Martin, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm like 99% sure. So starting on the actual level, the dusk from level 2 is gone and it's now full-on nighttime. We can actually see a pretty cool galaxy in the skybox. We are on a paved road in the middle of the forest, surrounded by trees, as you often are when you're in the forest. I don't think we're gonna have much opportunity to explore in this level.
Directo, ¿no?
There's only one way to go, so we push forward. Technically, we could go back, but I think either we can't, or that just takes us to level 2 again. As we drive through the woods, we can hear a Yahoo off in the distance.
No, es re bueno este juego, boludo.
Then we come to a spot with no trees, but guardrails on both sides due to a corner. After the corner, the guardrails are gone, and I don't know why I never tried to explore here, but hey, all the more reason for you guys to. Also, something I forgot to mention, at the end of level 2, right before the level ends and right after we pass through the fence, I wonder if you could go off the road and along the fence and get out of bounds. I'm the type of guy who is always wondering about, thinking about, and looking for ways to get out of bounds in video games, just because I think it's cool to explore things like that. Anyway, so back to level 3. Within about 5 seconds, if you go in full speed, the trees come back on the right. Guardrails appear whenever we go around the corner. Then the trees come back on the left, and we're surrounded by woods again, and the time for exploring is over. Not that I did any, for some reason. We continue to drive through the forest with more of the same in little clearings in the trees, here and there. We also hear more yahoos. Fantastic. We drive and drive
Y
and
gente, ese juego
drive
está bueno.
with some twists in the road, and only the sounds of our car and the occasional yahoo. This goes on for a bit longer, then we get to these concrete barriers. They're the really dangerous kind, because any way you hit them at top speed in this game, you will eat shit. So as we're driving through what could be the side of a mountain, for all I know, we come to what looks like a torched Russian army vehicle in the middle of the road. If you've played this before, the first time it likely caught you off guard and killed you after you plowed into it. I should know. It happened to me. I actually think these may have been the very last people to try and escape before something happened to them, so we continue driving for a little while longer, before going around one corner when something starts fucking with our steering, trying to make us crash into the guardrail or go off the road, both of which will immediately kill us. Pro tip, I actually found the exact corner and point when the thing starts to take over the steering. So whenever I get to this point, I always slow right down. So I'm always going as slow as possible when this thing starts to take over the steering. If we do die, we just respawn a little back down the road. When we do pass this little challenge, immediately afterwards there's a blink and you'll miss it moment where there's a car in the ditch and it's facing the direction we're driving. The previous vehicle we saw, yeah, the one that got torched, was clearly driving in the direction away from where we're going. So either this car spun out big time, or they were driving towards the danger. After this, you guessed it, we keep driving through the forest. After we round another...
Te parió batería el orto. Sí. Pero la puta madre. Listo. No. Está en directo, mi gente. Sí, está ahí. Ahora le pongo la batería. Ahora.
The corner, we can see what looks like some dirt on the road. Then this thing just flashes up on screen. The screen goes black for a second. We see the thing again, even bigger this time. We are completely in the dirt that's just on the road for some reason. This whole time our tires are squealing. The screen goes black again. Next thing you know, we've gone over the guardrail and now we're barreling downhill through the woods. So I just want to say, I think this thing is what has been fucking with us this whole time. I also think this thing also appeared in front of the truck from level 1, and that's why they went off the road and crashed as well. See, I said I would come back to that. I don't think this thing is alone in being the villain. I think it's got all those other shadow figures from the factory basement as henchmen, but I still think this thing is the head honcho, and that it was the thing to reach in and grab us in the factory basement if we did fail to start the car. Okay, so now we're flying down the side of a mountain into trees with no brakes, because I guess that thing decided to go under our car and do some mechanic work while we were busy jumping the guardrail. So womp womp for our Russian government official, I guess. That was the joke I said would make sense if I did the analysis bit first. This section can be a bit annoying if you keep failing it over and over, but besides that, it's actually quite fun. This whole section is you're just driving down a hill, no brakes, and all you have to do is dodge the trees. It only takes about 30 seconds to reach the bottom, but it can feel like way longer because you're so focused. Now, remember when I said there was a problem I had with the basement section in level 2? that I said I would talk about later on because a later section handles my issue with that section way better. Well, it's time to talk about that issue. I would like to start with, I know the basement section of level 2 and this section in level 3 are nowhere near the same thing. In level 2, if you fail that tiny little part, you have to start from so far back. It's ridiculous. It takes you 5 minutes to drive back, get down to the basement, and sit in the dark. Hell, you sit in the dark for a full minute, and when the button finally does come up, you have at most 2 chances in the span of about 10 seconds to push it at the right time while the needle's going all crazy. And if you mess up, you have to waste another 5 minutes driving back just for that 10-second window. That's why that bit in the basement can get annoying real fast if you don't get it first try. So how does this section in the woods handle that issue way better? Well, through this whole bit, whenever you hit a tree, you instantly die. And whenever you die, you respawn right at the top of the hill again, right after you would have just gone over the guardrail. You don't have to waste any time getting back there because you're already there. It's constant action. If this respawn was handled like the one in level 2, we would be put back to where we saw the torched car. I think the section in level 2 should respawn you right when you're about to enter the basement or enter the factory. So yeah, that's how the respawn in this part is handled way better than the respawn in level 2. So back to the game. So when we do get to the bottom of the hill, you will know because it starts to flatten out. Control is taken away from us and the buttons on the screen disappear. As we coast to a stop, we see a cabin in front of us, deep in the middle of the woods. It's a small rectangular cabin, lifted about 2 feet off the ground by tree stumps with exposed roots coming out of each corner. Yeah, cause that makes sense. The car comes to a stop. The door of the cabin opens with squeaks. The lights on our car start flashing. And how does this game end? A jump scare. Yeah, this thing just jumps up and kills us and screams at us. I don't know if this is supposed to be the same thing that caused us to drive off the road in the first place, but it might be, or it might not be. The screen then cuts to black and we're back at the main menu. And that was level 3. I thought it was really good and lived up to how good the loading screen was. There's no credits for the game anywhere in the game, which leads me to believe Alexander Trevanov did everything in the game himself, which is pretty darn cool. And there we have it. That was the entirety of Closed Area. It's a pretty short game and can be finished in around 20 to 30 minutes. I really like this game. It's simple, it's a great little driving horror game, and it's got a great atmosphere. Also, one more time, I absolutely love the photos in the loading screens. Here are all 3 photos together, and I can't believe I even found the original level 3 image. The original photo actually showed way more than the photo in the game, so here is that photo. I challenge someone out there to find the original level 1 and 2 photos as well, because I would love to see those. I'm a fan of the simpler type of games, and this game is a great example of that. The car physics are actually really good, and it was fun coming up with my own theory for what I think the story of the game is. So Alexander, I just want to say, thank you for the game. Now you might be thinking, why did I decide to do this? Why did I decide to spend 4+ weeks making this video about a mobile game from 2015? This isn't even my
Mira el video. Mira el video.
usual content, so people might not even watch this. But this is a great game that very few people know or talk about, so I'm going to talk about it. And I want to do more of these essay style videos, and I want to talk about things like this that not many people talk about. On YouTube, I watch all kinds of different content, including Let's Plays, but by far, the type of content I watch the most, more than anything, are essay videos. Sort of like this one I'm trying to make. Essay videos were always the style of content I imagined myself making, and what I wanted to make on this channel. But I only ever did Let's Plays because 1, I didn't have anything to talk about, and mainly 2, I could not edit for shit. But now I can make things like this, and I can find topics like this to talk about. I'm probably going to make more videos like this. Don't worry, I'm still going to be uploading Let's Plays, mainly my summer car. And who knows, maybe one day I'll make a video essay on that game. It's no wonder I started with Let's Plays on YouTube because it's so easy to make a Let's Play. Because all you have to do is record yourself playing a game and upload it. Also maybe making a few minor edits. For this video, I had to write a script and get all the gameplay recorded, and I had to do all that stuff. And hey, now I'm recording myself reading the script. And next I have to go edit it all together in a way that is presentable. In its own way, it's just as fun, if not more fun, than making my usual content, but it's also 5 to 10 times more work and time. but I did have a lot of fun making this video, and I am hoping this turns out to be my best video yet. Not like statistically, but like my best video to just like sit down and watch. I really hope this one turns out good. I just would like to say thank you everyone for watching so much. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, the rest of this video is just me gonna be ranting about some stuff. So if you came just to hear about the game, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. You may notice that it's brighter in here now, and no, that's not because it's a different day, it's morning. I've been filming since 10:30 last night. It's now 6:30 in the morning, I think. And yeah, so now basically just to close out this video, I'm just going to be talking about random stuff. So first off, this is basically just completely off script, by the way. Anyway, this is basically, yeah. Okay, so this video has been a long time coming. This is, without a doubt, the longest video I have ever worked on my channel, which is cool. And this has been the most effort I have ever poured into a video. I'm working hard. I was working really hard to make this the best video on the channel yet, which I'll explain the reason for in a little bit, like a couple minutes, I think. But yeah, and there was also a little bit of pressure for this video, honestly, because I know there were some people on the channel who were looking forward to it and wanted to see just what it was all about. To do a big, huge game is because with the way I'm doing this, the script would be like 100,000 characters long. So yeah, I'm really proud of it. Filming for almost 8 hours straight. Well,
Bro, ¿cuánto dura ese video, no? Estamos como 56
before we
minutos
begin, I would like to state that this video contains major spoilers for the full game of close.
¿Qué lo parió, nene? Nena. La concha de la madre, loco. Sí, igual. La puta madre, te parió. Te lo parió. A mí me tuvo 88 vistas. El de Piden Pura para el video más famoso. Seguramente. Amigo. ¿En qué puto momento ya está eso? Amigo. Ahora que pongo admin al busulog. No puedo. A ver cómo voy a ver. Listo. Le voy a dar un like. La puta madre. Sí, mira, son las 17:30, jueves 6 de febrero. Se lanzó ahí el juego, solo que no me percaté. Así que gracias por mirar. Todos, muchas gracias. Joder. Bro. Te lo parió. Te lo parió. Perdón por gritar. No tengo nada más que hacer que... No sé qué choto va a hacer. Culo. Bueno. ¿Qué dice? ¿Qué dice? Mira el video que te mandé. Bueno. Niña. Para, boludo. Para. Espera, no sé. Wow. Esa. Esa, bueno. Bueno, ahora sí finalizo directo, carajo. No entendí nada cuando dijiste mira el video. Pensé que miraste el video antes que yo. Así que está, nos vemos. Les deseo bendiciones como ayer, todo eso. Y está, nos vemos. Casi una hora en directo, por Dios. Chao. Sí, finalizar.